The world didn't end with a bang, it whimpered, carried on a bitter January breeze through the cracked windows of a house I hadn't seen since I was 15. The air stung my face, heavy with the scent of damp wood and faded dreams, as I stepped into the sagging cabin nestled in the rolling plains of Cimarron County, Oklahoma. The walls leaned like tired soldiers, plaster flaking like ash, and the warped floorboards protested under my sneakers, each step echoing a life I'd lost. I slung my frayed satchel onto a splintered bench and eyed the ancient oil heater in the corner, a small stack of logs beside it, likely the last thing my great-aunt left behind before she passed 2 years ago. "Thanks, Aunt May," I whispered, striking a match with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The flame caught a torn grocery ad, curling into the kindling, and a faint warmth pushed back the chill. That night, I spoke to shadows, not people. There was no one left. A month ago, I was promised to Lucas Warwick, a man whose presence could hush a room, whose touch made me feel like I'd won the universe. Now, pregnant, jobless, and adrift, I was curled by a stuttering fire in a rotting cabin. Some destiny. My name is Nora Blake, and this is how I shattered, and forged myself anew. The cold was a living thing, my breath a ghost in the dim room. I lit a stub of candle from a warped cupboard, its flicker casting jagged shapes on the crumbling walls. I unwrapped a stale donut, bought with my last $5, and chewed mechanically, not for want but for the life growing inside me. Shadows clawed at the edges, dragging up memories, Lucas's laugh over wine in Oklahoma City, his fingers tracing mine as we pored over venue brochures. I slept in the attic, bundled in a jacket on a mildewed cot, the wind screaming like it wanted to claim me. Sleep was no refuge, only a reel of betrayal, Lucas's first whispered mine under a harvest moon, the sapphire ring he slid on my finger at a rooftop party, the fleeting warmth in his eyes when I shared our secret. All dust now. I'd shaped myself to fit his world, a polished doll for his arm. When he discarded me, I was nothing but a deleted file. I met Lucas on a drizzly Tuesday, answering an ad for a personal aide at his gleaming Oklahoma City tech startup. My thrift store skirt clung too tightly, my resume a thin shield, literature degree, 0 experience, dead heavier than the rain outside. The waiting room buzzed with confident women, their chatter of CRMs and KPIs alien to me. I nearly bolted, but Lucas walked in, crisp suit, eyes like a storm, and stopped at me. "Nora, I presume?" His voice was honey over steel. I nodded, mute. The interview was a haze, I tripped over words, but he smiled like I'd solved a puzzle. By dawn, I was hired. No tests, no delays. Just hired. He began with small gestures, praising my notes, sharing elevator chats, leaving chai lattes on my desk. "You're a rare one," he'd murmur, and I bloomed under his gaze. Soon, he was driving me home, calling me his muse, his anchor. I fell in quiet moments, his hand grazing mine after a pitch, his fixing my scarf with a soft, "Let me take care of you." One night, after a gala, he invited me to his loft. City lights glittered below, jazz hummed, and his kiss felt like a vow. "You're not like them," he said afterward, and I was his. He leased me a sleek apartment, draped me in silk dresses, gifted me earrings that caught the light. I thought it was love. He disliked my old studio's flickering lights, my worn boots. "You're above that now," he'd say, and I nodded, blind to his leash, his rules on my style, my silence, my world. When I told him I was pregnant, panic gripped me. But he laughed, warm. "My dad's been hounding me for a legacy. He planned a family brunch, told me to skip my dusty roots. Let's keep it sleek," he said, like he was guarding my shine. The ring came soon, a glittering cage I mistook for forever. Then, days before the vows, he stormed into the apartment, ice cold as slate. "You think I'm a fool?" he snarled, accusing me of betrayal, claiming the baby wasn't his. I begged, voice breaking, but he was a wall. He ripped my clothes from racks, flung a backpack at me. "Get out." My phone, mine, paid from my savings, he called company tech. "The dresses, the jewels?" "Mine to reclaim," he spat. I pleaded for a test, for truth, but he laughed, cruel. "You're a con," he said, firing me, vowing to ruin my name. Security hauled me out, my ring torn from my finger like a theft. I was erased. I crashed with my friend Mara, who offered her sofa. But her warmth faded, her quips biting. "Must be nice to have a tycoon's kid." Job applications died, Lucas's whispers had blacklisted me. One manager was frank, "They say you faked your skills, climbed through charm." I stopped brushing my hair. Then I went to retrieve my desk items, a pen, a journal, and saw Lucas. He glanced at me, annoyed, and vanished behind his door. Fury erupted. I hammered on it, screaming, until guards dragged me out, my small box of relics clutched tight. Mara asked me to go soon after, her voice weary. "I'm done, Nora." I drifted through truck stops and motels, my coat my only armor. Then I remembered Aunt May's cabin in Cimarron County, a forgotten haven. I took a bus, hiked the last miles, and arrived at a decaying shack, its shingles loose, its air thick with decay. But it was mine. I scrubbed with rags, lit candles, and found a letter in the rusted mailbox. "Nora, this is yours. You're tougher than you know. Love, May." Tears fell as moonlight hit the warped floor. Survival became my rhythm, boiling stream water, patching walls, listing needs, roof, clinic, cash. Snow buried the plains, and then came Eli Vance, a neighbor from a mile off, with a sack of supplies, oats, tea, prenatal vitamins. "Saw your smoke," he said, leaving without a word more. His gesture shook me. He returned with nails, fixed the roof, brought blankets, never asking why I was here. Slowly, I felt alive again, not trusting fully, but hoping. A lawyer's letter came, summoning me to court. I faced Lucas alone, armed with proof, fake contracts, $180,000 siphoned to his mistress's account. The judge, stern and clear, froze his funds, her words a blade, clear intent to defraud. Lucas's eyes met mine, a crack in his armor. I stared back, steady, done. Outside, I breathed free, the city no longer his. Back in Cimarron, my daughter, Lily, was born on a frosty dawn, her wail a fierce anthem. Dr. Cole said, "You're both warriors." Eli brought scones, Mara a note, and I named her Lily May, for my aunt, not Lucas's kin. I stayed, planting wildflowers, painting walls, humming to Lily under a ceiling of paper moons. One dawn, Lily appeared in frost on the fence, a quiet nod from the stars. Life's not flawless. Leaks persist, doubts linger. But Lily's giggles mend me, and Eli's quiet visits anchor me. I didn't just outlast Lucas, I rose. And with Lily in my arms, I know some stories don't end in wrath. They spark there, then grow into something fiercer, love.